In my conversation with the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga, he consistently reminded me that no nation has ever developed without inclusivity and unity in diversity. I remember he mentioned to me about infrastructure, and infrastructure. My discussions with President Uhuru Kenyatta similarly underscored the importance of continuity in national development and the need to build upon foundations already laid. Together with many other engagements, those reflections reinforced a simple but profound lesson. Every nation that has transformed itself first imagined a future greater than its present, and then pursued that future with discipline, consistency, and patience. In that same State of the Nation address, I informed Kenyans that having restored stability, rebuilt confidence, strengthened our economy, and laid the foundation for sustained, inclusive growth under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, we were now ready to take Kenya to the next level. I therefore outlined our roadmap for the next phase of our country's transformation, including the establishment of two enduring national institutions: the National Infrastructure Fund, to finance the infrastructure that will underpin our future competitiveness, and the Sovereign Wealth Fund, to preserve and invest our national wealth for the benefit of the future generations. I am pleased that since then, we have moved from commitment to implementation. The National Infrastructure Fund has now been established in law, its board appointed, and the institution's secretariat is underway. The Sovereign Wealth Fund has likewise been established in law and will now be operationalized, completing another important milestone in building the institutions that will support Kenya's long-term development. These institutions form part of a broader strategy that is already guiding Kenya's long-term transformation into a competitive first world country. But institutions alone do not build great nations. They must also be guided by great ideas. Following extensive consultations with many stakeholders, particularly with the former Prime Minister, and as part of our broader national reflection, I invited Professor Hiroyuki Hino, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, and their distinguished colleagues to undertake an exercise in scholarship and strategic thinking on Kenya's future beyond Vision 2030. Today, we receive the outcome of that important assignment. On behalf of the government and the people of Kenya, and on my own behalf, I sincerely thank Professor Hino, who is not here with us. He was meant to be here, but due to flight complications, he was not able to come. But I'm told he will be joining us in due course. Thank Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, Professor Michael Chege, Professor Karuti Kanyinga, Professor Peter Wanyande, and every contributor for this remarkable act of scholarship and patriotism. Asanteni sana. It is true that when I discuss this matter with colleagues and the senior leaders in our country, we said let's start somewhere. And I did ask Professor Hino, Professor Michael, and Professor Peter Nyang'nyong'o here to give us some ideas. And they developed a team with which they worked with, and we are very happy that we now have a report. This proposal is a thoughtful and valuable contribution to an important national conversation. Its value lies not in providing every answer, not even in the composition of the team, but in asking important questions, challenging our assumptions, broadening our thinking, and enriching our reflection on the choices that will shape Kenya's future. All these efforts are driven by one larger reality. For nearly 2 decades, Vision 2030 has provided our nation with a shared sense of direction. It has guided reforms, inspired investment, and shaped Kenya's development journey. But every nation and every national vision eventually reaches its sunset. As Vision 2030 approaches its conclusion, the responsibility now falls upon our generation to imagine what comes next. I have just had an opportunity to glance through this report. While I have much more to study and reflect upon, I am encouraged that many of the issues it raises speak to the strategic direction we have already begun pursuing. Far from beginning from scratch, the report builds upon foundations already being laid while offering thoughtful perspectives that can enrich Kenya's long-term transformation. These are ideas that deserve careful study, thoughtful reflection, and broad national engagement.